Hi, this is Paulie from the Main Street Market Exchange again, and how are you doing today? Today is the 10th of 12 videos that I've made to help folks understand how you can partner with or deal with or work with or benefit from working with the Main Street Market Exchange. And this particular video has to deal with the government. I think you're going to see this a little bit different, this video. And the overriding consideration here is what's fair is fair. You know, if we can give the Ukrainians 175 billion to kill people, and we give Wall Street trillions and trillions of dollars every year to do their thing, then we should be able to assist Main Street in a real and concrete way. And we've been shafted for way too long. You know, what's fair is fair. Basically, at least initially, there are basically three things that I'm looking for to attain or get for Main Street from the government, as it pertains to the government. First, I want the SBA 90% guarantee on all infusions or investments that are made into Main Street Market Exchange funded plans. Now, let me give you a brief description or explanation on SBA guarantee and how that works. When I was a lender, a commercial lender at a bank, if I went out and to a prospect and I came back with like $1 million loan request, and there was some reason why we couldn't do the loan. In other words, there was a little bit of hair on it. There was some bad credit, or the industry was not something that we liked. Maybe it was a bar or something like that, or there wasn't enough down money. But for whatever reason, we couldn't do it. But we thought that the deal had merit. Oftentimes we try to place it through SBA, and with designated SBA lenders at banks, I'd walk it back and say, hey, maybe you can look and do this through SBA. And when they came back and said, yeah, you know, we can do it, Paul, after a lot of, maybe a week or so of trying to get it approved, they said, we can do it. So what we would do is the bank would actually issue the loan, but then the government then would come in with the SBA guarantee and stamp it and guarantee the loan, 90% of the loan, which was cool. You had the SBA guarantee. And we want at the Main Street Market Exchange that same 90% guarantee on infusions that are made, investments that are made into Main Street plans. What's fair is fair. I think SBA is a great deal, but banks go like this and they go, poof, and they just, through fractional banking, they create money. We're talking about real money, real investment. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We should be able to have that 90% guarantee, that SBA guarantee on infusions that are made into Main Street fully developed plans. We at the Main Street Market Exchange also want a double deduction provision on all these infusions as well. So when a person invests, let's just say they invest $25,000 into someone's plan through the Main Street Market Exchange, the investor will get a double deduction on their taxes. In other words, instead of $25,000 if they invested, they get a $50,000 deduction. Now, these two provisions, the 90% guarantee through SBA and the double deduction provision into Main Street plans, will basically put the Main Street folks into a new stratosphere. The exploding economic activity will be off the charts as far as that goes, because folks will be infusing and actually doing stuff that helps Main Street in a real and concrete way. Again, what's fair is fair. The second thing I'm looking for in terms of, or pertaining to working with the Main Street Market, working with the government, is for us to partner with folks who want to write grant proposals. You know, I'm sure you heard of some of the ridiculous things that the government grants money for, like $1 million study of how rabbits made in the springtime, or a $5 million grant of how turtles swim in cold water in the fall. Or if you want to think of a grant in a different perspective, how, you know, we can easily give, not loan, give 175 billion to the Ukrainians to kill people. It's basically just to kill Russians, and poor Ukrainian boys are getting killed as well. That we find money to give grants. Well, we at the Main Street Market Exchange, we want grant money to implement plans to help inner city communities, how we can actually help those communities to invest directly in people in those communities in a real and concrete way, cool things to help people. So if the rabbits and the turtles and the Ukrainians and Wall Street can get all the money that they want, we think that the Main Street Market Exchange, but more so Main Street, should be able to get money too. Again, what's fair is fair. The third thing I'm looking for in terms of dealing with the government is I'm looking for real famous folks, actors, comedians, whatever, to accompany me as we actually go to talk to Congress and the Senate. I've spoken with Congress people, congressmen to be specific, and be honest with you, it's like talking to the wind. They have absolutely, positively no intention of helping you when they're looking at you. And 90% of the time, they don't know what you're talking about when you're saying, how we can do real things, not just talk about stuff, but real things to help communities. Unless you have $50,000 to donate to them, they won't even move across town to meet you for lunch. And it's not being cynical or skeptical or negative. It's just a reality that Paulie talking means nothing. So what I want is some comedians or some well-known actors to come in with me as we talk to the Senate and Congress and say, hey, look, we should be implementing real plans with real money to help communities. And unless you really are a squeaky door, you're not going to get the oil. So I'm really looking for popular folks to accompany me to talk to Congress and the Senate to find this money that they say they don't have for anything good. Think about it. New York City is paying roughly $300 a night, or $8 million a day to house illegal immigrants who are trashing these hotels and whatnot. And they're cutting services to Social Security. They're cutting fire departments and police and social services to pay for this stuff. It seems like they always have money to grant to folks or their programs that they're little pet peeve programs. Through quantitative easing since 2008, the government has been funding $85 billion. It's probably more like $100 billion a month, or $1 trillion a year to pay back all the folks since 2008. I don't know if they've stopped yet, but every month we're paying them back that 85 or 100 billion a month to pay back the people and to make them whole who caused the 2008 downturn in the first place. So somehow we've been able to grant money to these folks. And also, too, if you look at, we backstop everything that Wall Street does. I mean, JP Morgan just got a $50 billion line or whatever to backstop them to come in and buy banks that are failing. And it just seems like there are countless tax breaks and incentives and grants that go to Wall Street and everybody else, but Main Street gets zip. And, it ain't right. So, we should be building back our communities. That's what the Main Street Market Exchange. We want to build things up and encourage people and invest in plans. And that's what we as a nation should be doing. So we're going to petition hard the government. And we're going to ask them to grant money to do some of this stuff. Again, if the turtles and the rabbits and Wall Street and Ukraine, they can get all the money they want. We on Main Street ought to start raising our hands and say, wait a minute, what about us? We should be invested in as well. What's fair is fair. So those are the at least the initial things I want to talk to folks about, helping the Main Street to, petition the government so that they can fund us in some of our initiatives so that we can serve the American people. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you. And what do you want to do? Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.